Right. Good afternoon, all. So I want you all to download the company file that we worked with last week. And also, I want you to download the supplier card. There is a document, PDF document I have uploaded in the LMS called supplier cards SAB. Right? You can download that folder, that PDF file as well. Okay, no? Right, I hope you have downloaded the company file and the given PDF document. So in your folder you have till now?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, is there anyone?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir,
Good afternoon.
may I know whether we need to download your company file or we
No,
have to
no,
continue
no,
our
no,
company
not
file?
my company file. You have to download your company file and work with that. Okay.
The one we are
You have
completed
been
last
conceiving from
week.
the, yeah.
Yeah, we are
Continuously you have
all.
been using the same company file. You have to open that.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
I asked only from page one.
Okay, lovely. Now we'll do this way. Until this. Hope everyone's internet connection is working now. You can download your company file from wherever you have stored, right? Your company file, download, and then download the supplier card document I had uploaded in there. Right? Now, I believe you know how to open the company file, right? It's first you have to open the software and then open the company file, right? If it is the right company file, you should have 69 days remaining. Just make sure that is the right company file. And when you open the company file, you should be getting this reminder of a transaction we recorded last week. What is the transaction we recorded for this? What is the name of that type of transactions? What type of transactions? Spend money, okay. Very specific, because of a very specific type of a transaction, you are seeing this notice, this reminder. Okay. What is the type of the transaction?
Recurring.
Of this type? What is the type of the transaction? What is the type of transaction? You are getting notice right, recurring transaction. Okay. Because you should know this technical term. Because in your online quiz, internet online quiz, you will be required to answer this type of question. Type of thing can be given and they will ask what type of a transaction. You should know what is a recurring transaction. What is the nature of a recurring transaction? The nature of a recurring transaction is you are continuously reporting a particular transaction in a given time interval. In a common interval and also with the same amount. Right. So that type of transactions we can record as recurring transactions. So it will give us a notification when the time is due to record it. Because we are working in a different time zone, that is 2023, 2024. That is our financial year. Now currently we are living in 2025. Right? That is why it is giving you the notification, because already it's past due. Right? It's already past due. That's why it's giving us the notification. Okay. In your examination, I can remember I told you this story. In your examination, if you get a notification, if you get a recurring transaction to record, right? At marking, when we open the company file, we should be getting this notification. when we get this notification, we know 5 marks is awarded anyway for this student. Right? Because the student has recorded properly the recurring transaction. But the sad story is, I have marked in your previous batch, I have marked, as I remember, 40 plus or 50, around 50 papers. Right? Do you think in how many company files I got this notification? Around? Just rough assumption. Yeah. 5. Any assumptions? You think your previous batch is at that level, only 5 students at that time? Because this is a very initial learning, right? Recurring transaction. You are even you're recording, just record. How many? Just assume around 40, 48, near 50, including repeat. Out of 50, how many could have done that? You are right, less than 5. Maybe they are the people who got A pluses, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, after marking finalization, I don't know whether that was awarded marks for that. But less than 5 or less than 5, that's it. Right? See, easy 5 marks. Just nothing, right? Just knowing the technique. Okay. That's why I'm highlighting. Please learn that. Right? Please learn that this subject is very easy to get a good grade. You are doing very little silly mistakes. That's why you are not getting the good grades. Right. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight that if it is the correct company file, you should be getting this notification. If you are not getting this notification, then you are using a wrong company file. Please close that and find the right company file. Okay. So close it. Now, what is the status of our company file by now? The status of our company file right now is we have created the tax codes required, and then we have modified our accounts list according to our requirement. And then we have recorded the capital brought into the company, and we have recorded that journal entries. And also we have recorded all the expenses, payments that are spent by the company bank account and different types of cash and cash equivalents. Right? From petty cash, how do we do the payments? And from the credit cards, how we are making the payments, and from the current account, how we are making the payments. We have recorded all that payments, right? Now, we are going to touch the core function or main operation of the business. What is the main operation of the business here? We have to again think of what is our business, nature of our business. We are a cricket club, and in our business, we have 2 components. One is providing services, right? We are hiring the ground and we are giving lessons, cricket lessons to people. And also the other branch is we are selling cricket equipment, right? So when you are starting the operation, you have to first think of the purchasing side, because before selling anything, you have to make sure your purchasing side is properly done and your supply is coming in. Cricket bats, cricket balls, all these equipment should be coming into your stores, right? So we will start from today that process. So we are going to start with the purchasing process, right? If you are writing notes down, you can start with the broad topic, that is purchasing. Okay. Right. Then here you can see there is a separate command center for purchases. Okay. In that purchases, you have number of options given. Purchase register, enter purchases, pay bills, all these transaction journal, prepare electronic payments, print checks, print or email remittance advices. So many options you have under the purchase, right? Now, before setting up any particular process, we were going through another supporting process that will set up the entire function, right? What was that process? What was that option we were using? Before setting up this banking thing, we were using it. Easy setup assistant, can you remember? You were going through easy setup assistant to make sure the default values are properly set, right? We are using the easy setup assistant to make sure the default values of this particular function is properly established. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to go through the easy setup assistance under the purchasing command center, right? The path is setup, easy setup assistant, right? Setup tab, easy setup assistant, and under that we are selecting the purchases, right? Here you have the broad category called purchases. So what we are going to do is we are going to set up the default values for the purchases, right? Select it. Then you get the easy setup assistant result. There is a small introduction. I want you to read it. Then you will have an understanding of what we are going to do in this process. Okay, read that introduction. Okay, did you read it? So it gives you the overall understanding of what you are going to do, right? Now we will click on the next button, right? Click on the next button. Right. You have to choose the purchase layout, right? You have to choose the purchase layout. There is an understanding you have to have under these layouts, right? There are few layouts: no default, service, item, professional, and miscellaneous. Okay. So if you select no default, okay, no default, then there will be no default format selected. For everything you are creating, you will have to select the layout, right? No default layout will be selected for anything hereafter when you are preparing. But the layout is very important. Therefore, to have anything as default, we will select it. It doesn't mean we have to always stick to that layout. Whenever you want, you can change the layout, right? Then let me just tell you what is the meaning of each of these layout. No default is nothing, right? You are not selecting any layout. That is the meaning. If you go to the service layout, read what is given here and tell me what you understand by that. Okay. Here, when you click on the different layout, in front of the layout, you will see a small notification or a small description, right? Use the service layout when you want to buy something not on your items list, or if you are not keeping or tracking inventory. That is the meaning of service layout, because the name service layout sounds like you are going to buy a service, isn't it? It sounds like that. If you are going to buy a service, let's say a legal service or whatever service, audit service, when you're going to buy a service, you are using the service layout. That is how it sounds, which is wrong. Right? That is how it sounds, but it is wrong. What is the meaning of service layout is, if you are buying anything, it may be a physical item, it may be an item, right? if that item or whatever the purchase is not in your items list in the company, right? For that type of purchases, you are using the service layout. Now, let me give you a easy example to understand. If you take, let's say, thumb drawer, right? So they have a list of items, office furniture, pantry sets, kitchen furniture, all this stuff they have, right? So let's say, for example, they have 1,000 items, different 1,000 items. Okay. If they are buying any item out of this list, right, they can't use the service layout. Let's say they are buying a rubber carpet for their showroom, right? That is not in their items list. අර අපි වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ ගියාම ඒගොල්ලෝ ලිස්ට් එකේ rubber carpet පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ නේද? Right? That carpet is purchased. It's an item, physical item. It is purchased for use in the company, not to resale. And that item is not there in their items list. Right? If something is purchased which is not in your items list, that type of purchases are recorded under the service layout. Clear? Is that clear? Right? It's not a service. That's not that you are purchasing a service. Right? I'll show you when we go through different formats why we can't record items purchases or anything in our items list under the service layout. We can't record because the service layout has very few columns. It does not update your inventory. Right? Now, for example, if you are buying 5 items, in the umbrella case, if you are buying 5 cupboards from the warehouse, then your items quantity should be updated. So there should be a column for the quantity in the layout. Layout is the format where you are recording. But in the service layout, you have very few columns. Only the date and the description of the item and the price, like that. Very basic, right? So you can't record anything that has the quantities to update, right? But if the umbrella is buying a mat, rubber mat, they don't have to worry about the quantity, right? What is the square feet of the mat, all that they don't have to worry because that is a one-time purchase, right? Only the description and the price is enough. So service layout is not used for service recording, service purchases. It's used when purchasing something which is not there in your items list. Clear? Right. Then when you go to the items layout, this is the layout you are using when you are purchasing something from your items list. When you are buying something from your item list, right, you are using the items layout. It's very clear. Now, for example, if the umbrella is buying cupboards, if the umbrella is buying single beds, right, from their stores, then they have to use the items layout because it has a column to update the quantities, right? So 5 items, okay, you record it and automatically your inventory will be updated. Understood? So that is why when you go to certain shops, they search in their system and tell you whether that is in their stock or not, right? Because they can't search anything which is not in their items list. What they can search is anything that is available in the items list and the quantities. Okay, so you will get used to it, but that definition is very important. For example, in the online quiz, if you get a question to select what is the correct definition of a service layout, and you may be given 4 definitions of items layout, service layout, all the definitions can be given. Then you have to know exactly what it is to pick that. Okay, understood? And then there is another layout called professional. Right? The professional layout is used when you are taking some professional services, when you are buying some professional services from someone. For example, legal services, right? Maybe some internal audit services or maybe external audit services. Whatever the services, professional services, if you are obtaining from a supplier, right? Maybe most of the cases by professionals, right? You have to use the professional layout. In the professional layout, the special feature is from the same professional, you can obtain the service in different time intervals, like in different dates. Okay. Now, in other formats, you are recording the purchase on one particular day, right? Whatever the items you are purchasing, the entire purchase should be recorded for one particular day. But in the professional layout, you have a column to pick the date. Let's say on 10th of this month, you have obtained particular service, this is the rate. On 15th of this month, you have obtained the service and this is the rate. So like that, you have number of days to record in that layout, right? Therefore, professional layout is used. Its definition is given. Use the professional layout when buying services rendered from your suppliers. Buying services, right? Continuous services when you are buying from professionals, you have to use that layout. Okay. Now, in my previous, based on my experience, classes well ඔය වගේ දැන් ඔයගේ පොඩි පොඩි නෑ ඔයාලට කියන ඉංග්‍රීසි පානවා කියලා ඇතින් ඔය සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කරන්නේ ගෑනු ළමයි. The first time I've seen boys doing that. Right. Two boys. So it's becoming a disaster. Don't do that. Okay. Okay. Just a joke. Don't take it serious. Huh? Professional layout, right? Then miscellaneous. Okay. What is the definition of miscellaneous layout? Use the miscellaneous layout to record a purchase from which no printed form is needed, or to make a purchase adjustment. Right? Let's say you are quickly going and purchasing something for which you don't need a formal document, formal report, or a printed document, right? So you just need to keep that entry. Now, for example, have you seen when we go and buy something from these kiosk supermarkets and all, right? Sometimes they mistakenly enter something, right? Even the bill is raised, payment is also done. Later we figure out something is missing. Maybe a discount is not added. Maybe additional item is billed, all that, right? Then someone, they ring the bell and call the manager. They will make a small adjustment in the system, right? But for that, they will not issue a new invoice sometimes. In your same invoice, they will cut and write something, but they are recording an adjustment inside the system, right? So those type of adjustments can be done in the miscellaneous layout where a printed form of a bill will not be issued for that, right? It's a very basic format. It is used only for these type of adjustments and for recording transactions with no bill required, right? That is miscellaneous. So these are the types of layouts. Actually, you have 4 layouts. Okay, even though there are 5 options, you have 4 layouts. In MyOB, if someone asks you how many layouts you have 4, right? The first is no default value, right? No default value. But the other 4 are the given layout, and you should know the definitions of these 4 layouts. Why should you know the definitions? It's not only because of the quiz, right? It's not only because the quiz will ask these questions. It is because when you get a transaction to record, you should know which layout is suitable for them. Okay, you should know what layout is suitable for them. Right. Now, what is the layout I'm going to select? I'm going to select the items layout as the default layout, because we are going to record many of the item purchases, because our business is, one core side of the business is buying something and selling those items. Even if, now that is the point to remember, even if I am selling a particular item, right, I can still use, which is a service, let's say. Now, if you take cricket lessons, that is one of my services, cricket lesson. Is that cricket lesson in my items list or not? Because can I include that cricket lesson in my items list or not? Second lesson is a service, no physical items involved. Right? I go to the ground and teach them. Cricket lessons, can I include the cricket lesson in my items list or not? In the saloon, haircut, right? Haircut, service, right? In the saloon system, can we have haircut as an item in the items list? Why not? No, let's say for haircut, male haircut, 500 rupees or 1000, let's say in a good one, 1000 rupees for male haircut. Can't we include that as an item in the bill? You can, right? Then, even for a service, if that service is in your items list, you can use items layout to build them. You understand? Because service layout was not there for services. Right? Items layout was there to record anything that is in my items list. My items list can contain all physical items plus services that I'm constantly offering. Understood? If you take a service organization, their entire list is services. Right? If you go to a bank, savings is an item. Fixed deposit is an item. Pawning is an item. Right? They are products. They call them as products of the bank. Right? Credit card is a product. Clear? Therefore, you have to have that understanding. That's why I told you. So we will select items layout because in most of the cases we will be using transactions related to the items we have in our list. Okay. Select the items layout as the default. Go to the next step. Then the expense account in purchase. If your company is doing a standard type of a purchase or standard same thing if you are purchasing, right? You can specify very clearly an expense account to record the purchase. But in this case, you will be purchasing different things, right? Different items, maybe repair items, maybe reselling items, maybe material, whatever it is. Therefore, it is not a good decision to select an expense account. So it will be automatically added in all your purchases, right? So we will leave it blank. Whenever we identify a different purchases, we will include that account in the relevant case, right? So we leave it blank. And the credit limit. Credit limit, if your organization, if we, the SAD Cricket Club, if the SAD Cricket Club is offered a common credit limit by all the suppliers. Now this credit limit is not something you decide. Okay. We are dealing with the purchaser. In the purchases, a credit limit is offered by whom? By the suppliers. Based on your credit worthiness, the supplier will offer you the credit limit, right? One supplier may offer you 100,000, another supplier may offer you 1 million of a credit limit. So it depends, right? Therefore, we can't actually specify an amount. Okay, but still we are entering a small amount to make sure we don't keep the credit limit as 0 in any default values, right? In default values, if we mistakenly keep the credit limit as 0, so we will be able to purchase any amount, right? Therefore, I am just entering a number 5,000. If you don't like 5,000, you enter 10,000 or whatever. I am entering a very small amount just to appear my future credit limit fields. Okay, you don't like 5,000, enter 10,000, right? I'm just entering a number, small number, right? Right. So we'll go to the next step. We will go to the next step. Right. So it is about the tax codes or taxes we are going to select. Right. What is the tax code you are using? What is the tax code that most of your suppliers will be using? Right. Usually in our context, what is the tax code that all the goods and services are being taxed at? Okay. Therefore, we will leave it as VAT, which is already selected. In case if your field is not filled, you have to enter it as VAT. Okay, select type it as VAT, right? And then what is the freight? If the supply is charging freight, for that, what is the applicable tax code? Again, that is value added tax. So keep the VAT for both places. Keep value added tax for both places, right? Then we will go to the next. Payment methods, right? Here you have to select the payment method of your supplier, not of you. Right? Not the payment method that you are using. It's the payment method that most of your suppliers will be using. See, what's the payment method your suppliers will be using to pay you, right? So we will look at the options available. Then most practical case is checks, right? Usually in the business world, you are making transactions with checks, check payments. So you select it as check, and then you have to select the payment terms, right? In any business, when the supplier is selling you goods, they will include their payment or payment terms at the bottom of the invoice, right? When you have to pay, when you are making an early payment, what is the discount you are receiving, and what is the last date you have to pay? All these, any bulk discounts, all these discounts available. About that, you have to record, right? But different suppliers may offer you different credit terms. Right? One supplier may ask you to settle in 30 days. Another supplier may ask you to settle in another 45, 60, 90 days sometimes. It depends. Therefore, there's no point of editing here. We can edit here, but there is no point of editing the default value because for each supplier, we have to separately set these credit terms. Okay. Therefore, at the moment, we will skip that part and we will go to the next option, right? Enter and select the account that you wish to use for paying bills to your suppliers. Read that twice. Read that twice. But read that twice and try to understand what they are saying. Previously, we have selected what is the method you are using, your suppliers are using to pay you. Now here we have to select the account, bank account. What is this bank account? Enter or select the account you wish to use for paying bills to your suppliers. Don't you see any problem here? Or is it normal? It's just normal. It's not your business, right? Yes. Mind your own business. You don't have a problem with that statement? If I was a student, I would have. Now, because I know the thing, I don't have a problem. But if it's the first time, you have to have the problem because usually suppliers pay us. When there are suppliers, right? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is not that case. When suppliers on the customer creation, sorry, I forgot that. On the customer creation, you will have this problem, right? Here it's okay, no? There is no any confusion. There is no any confusion. Sorry for that. Supplier is supplying us goods, so we are making the payment to supplier. What is the account we have to, from which account we are making the payment? Okay. Right. It's the Sampath Bank current account. Because we yes. So that is the right. The problem is now. This was the problem actually. I'm sorry for that. Huh? The problem was in a different place. Here. Problem was not that. Problem was this. How do your suppliers pay you? Do your suppliers pay you? That is the problem. Right? Forgot. I messed it up. The other one was okay. When you are paying the suppliers, we are using the Sampath Bank current account. Okay. Here, when your suppliers pay you, what is the method they are asking? Huh? Do your suppliers pay you? That is the question. We actually put the real question, real problem. Do your suppliers pay you usually? No. But is the system crazy to ask this kind of question? There can be certain situations where suppliers will have to pay us. Any examples you can think of? Return, okay. Return. Return is a good start, but I want the full answer. It's a good starting point. You have the point. Let's say after settling all the bills, now supplier is supplying us goods, right? The supplier is supplying us goods. Let's say we settled the bill on the same day, even before checking the goods. Sometimes that can happen. When it's your friend, you will quickly settle it without even checking. But later, if you figure out there are some damaged items that you have to return, right? Now the payment is also done. When you return those goods, you don't have the invoice value to cut that from. Therefore, your supplier will have to pay you back, right? In that case, what is the method or what is the mechanism they are using is the question here, right? That is what the suppliers take payment method actually. So through checks they are settling us back. That is the problem. Okay. Now that is sorted. Thereafter, at this step, it's not a problem actually. That is the bank account we are using to settle the suppliers. Okay. Then we can, it's a Sampath Bank current account. So we will go to the next step. Right. This is an important step where you have to create supplier cards. Right. You have to have a list of suppliers to run the operations of your business. Therefore, here this is the list of the supplier cards, but it is empty. It is empty because you don't have any suppliers yet. Okay. So at the bottom you can see only one or two buttons are active. One is new and the other is import. If you have an already created supplier cards list imported from a different company file, so you can export it from a different company file, so you can import it to this. But you currently you don't have such, right? So you have to create new suppliers here. Okay. So we will create one supplier just to show you that it can be done at this point. Click on this new button. You are going to create a new supplier. Now you are setting up the purchasing process. New supplier. So this is called supplier cards creation. Okay. Supplier cards creation. In MyOB, right? In MyOB, all the parties we are dealing with are known as cards. Okay. All the parties we are dealing with are known as cards. For example, we are dealing with suppliers. Suppliers are known as supplier cards. We are dealing with customers. The customers known as customer cards. Okay. We are dealing with employees in the organization. Employees are known as an employee card. Right? So all the parties we are dealing with are known by cards. Right? In the universities you have cards, no? Do you call by your names? You lost your card. You don't have? Yes? You are calling by the same name. That's okay. Generational gap. Okay. In certain universities, they have cards. Again, for lecturers also, we had cards.
Yes, sir, we had.
Not the same name. මට මලින්ත නෙමෙයි කියන්නේ. හරිද? වැරදි. මොකක් නමක් දෙනවා. මොකක් ලක්ෂණයක් හරි. appearance එක හරි මොකක් හරි teaching style එක හරි. විතර වැඩිපුර කියන වචනයක් හරි. මොකක් හරි එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා එකක් කරනවා. සමහරවිට ඉන්නවා සමහර lecturers ඉන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ කාඩ් එක C+. මොකද දෙන්නේ maximum C+. C+ වෙනවා කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ class එක. Right? එහෙම කියනවා ඉස්සර. It's a maybe an old fashioned. Then in MyOB, all the parties are known by their cards. Okay. Then here we are going to create the supplier cards. For that, I have given the information in a PDF document. That was a supplier card SAB. Right? Select go to that. Here, right? This is the supplier card. These are actually the suppliers of your company. The first supplier is Sanat Jayasuriya Private Limited. Just the names given, right? Now, look at the information given here. The name is given, address is given, and phone number, and also a contact person name is given as profile details, right? Now, let me start with that information. This is the form you are going to fill when you are creating any type of a card, right? Since now we are in the purchasing process, now you are in the supplier cards creation process. Here you can see card type as supplier, right? Supplier card, but there is a drop down arrow, right? In the drop down, when you get the drop down menu, you can see all the types of cards, right? Customer cards, supplier cards, employee cards, personal cards, all the cards, right? But since you are in the supplier card creation process, it has automatically selected the supplier as the category, right? It means you are using the same format, same layout to create all the cards, right? That's why I told you, when you learn how to create a card, this is a very good learning. In your exam paper, you will get around 20 marks for knowing this. මේ form එක fill කරන්න දන්න එක වෙනුවෙන් විතරක් ඔයාලට ලකුණු 20ක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Why am I telling that? 20 marks is one out of 5, right? 1/5 of marks. පහෙන් එකක් paper එක. Just by knowing how to fill this. ඒක ගන්න නැති ළමයි මොන තරම් ඉන්නේ. Why? When you know how to create a supplier card, you know how to create a customer card. Just a small shift. Change the type of the card and just one information, additional information you have to enter, right? Then you know how to create employee card, right? But in the paper, for creating supplier cards, you have 10 marks. For creating customer cards, another 10 marks. You are getting all 20 marks just by knowing this. Here, that's why I told you easy marks to get, also easy marks to lose also. Make a that can also happen, right? Then first you have to enter the name. Okay, name. Sanat Jayasuriya Private Limited. Okay. And also, once you enter the name and press tab key, I always advise you to press the tab key in your keyboard to move from one tab to another, right? One field to another. When you press the tab key, you can see all other fields becoming activated, right? Until then, the other fields were hidden, right? After the name only, other fields are activated. And in front of the card type, there was another selection called designation. Designation in the drop down, you can see, is it a company or an individual? Okay. Because even an individual can be a supplier without a proper company registration. An individual can supply certain items. But in this case, it's a company because it's a private limited. Okay. And also in front of that, there is an option called inactive card, right? Inactive card. The meaning of this inactive card is, let's say you were working with a particular supplier for a long time, and hereafter you are not going to work with that supplier. Maybe the supplier is bankrupt, or maybe the supplier has closed his business purposely. Maybe due to some issue, we are not purchasing that. We have discontinued that supplier. Then it's better to go and tick this inactive card. It does not delete any information with that supplier, right? But we can't delete suppliers because there are historical transactions we had with that supplier. There, but we don't have to have a lengthy list of suppliers that we are not dealing with them, right? Because in a real company, you will have hundreds or thousands of suppliers, right? Let's say there will be 50 suppliers we are not working with. Then we search the supplier. We don't want to see those suppliers, all suppliers, right? Then when we inactive this card, a particular card, that supplier will not be available when we are searching suppliers in future formats, right? So that option is there. But for this supplier, don't do that because this is the only supplier we are going to create. Don't inactive that. We will not take that. But for your knowledge, that is required. And then we will card ID is not given, no ID given. We will enter the address. Okay. Address is 12, and then in the place of city, you have to enter the main road. In the card, in the space of the state, you will enter Masara, and then country is Sri Lanka. Right? And then phone number you can take as given, phone number 1. If there are more than one phone numbers, you can enter them also. And the contact person is Sanat. And contact person is Sanat. Those are the profile details or profile information of the supplier. Right? So you have to accurately enter the profile details first. And then you can see the second tab of the supplier card creation. This is the profile tab, okay? Profile tab information we have entered. And there is another tab called card details. In the card details, you can enter some additional information about this supplier. And also you can insert a photo or image of this supplier. This is a company, maybe their logo or maybe their building, a photo of the building. If it's an individual supplier, maybe his photograph, something you can enter to this place. When you click on this, you can enter, but we are not going to do that. It's not a part of the accounting process, but it's a part of your recording or reporting process. Okay. It doesn't have a link to your double entry system, but for more information purpose, you can add them also. And also, if there is any special note you have to mention, this supplier is this and that, blah, 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 you can type it as a note for anyone to refer. Right? Clear? Then, therefore, we are not going to fill anything in this format, but you have to know that these options are available. Right? You can insert a picture of it and you can enter a special note on that supplier. Right? And then go to the next tab, that is buying details. Buying details. These are the most important details of a supplier, because the supplier's entire profile or the way we deal with that supplier is depending on this information, right? How we make the purchases from that supplier. You can see that here, the purchase layout. The purchase layout suitable for this supplier is by default selected as item, right? It doesn't come there as a magic because we have selected it by default. We have given those default values. We have selected the default layout is items. That is why it's appearing here, right? But if you want to change it, let's say from Sanat Jayasuriya Private Limited, we are not buying items layout. Anything in our items list, we are not buying anything. Maybe we are buying something else. Then you can even change this layout as service, professional, whatever it is. Okay. If you are buying only advisory service from Sanat Jayasuriya company, then we can select as professional layout. Right? It's our choice. But in your descriptions, it's given as items layout. Right? Items layout, because we may be purchasing some items, cricket equipments in our items list from this company. And then purchase order delivery to be printed. Right? We will be printing it when there is a purchase. And the shipping method here. Shipping method you can select from these drop downs. Any of these things you can select from these drop downs, right? I'm just picking a few important information given. Shipping method is pickup. We will go and collect items. Okay. There are some other options as well, right? Air freight, cash on delivery, courier, all these facilities are there. But more practical way is pickup. We go and pick up the items. Select it. Okay. Now another additional thing. When you go to select the shipping methods, if there is no suitable shipping method for you, right? You can use this easy add button, right? To add any pickup method, any what we call a shipping method, right? Any additional shipping method you can add by selecting that, right? And then that is about the left side. On the right side, the credit limit. you can see credit limit is automatically assessed as 5,000, right? Those who didn't like 5,000, they will have their own number, right? That is the default value we have set. Okay, the credit limit is given as 5,000 in the format. It's because that is the default value, but the real credit term given is credit limit given is 250,000 by Sanat company. So enter that 250,000. Okay. When you enter the 250,000 here as a credit limit, in the next field, the available credit is also updated as 250,000. The meaning is out of the given credit limit, we have not consumed any, right? Available credit limit. That is how anyway it works, right? Even in your credit card, if you have not purchased anything, your credit balance will be the card balance. Total balance is there, right? Then if you make any purchases, this available balance will be reduced. If you purchase things for credit, this balance will be reduced in the future. And then ABN, Australian Business Registration Number of the supplier. Here it's given. You can enter that. Right? You can enter that. Now, small additional thing to remember. For any supplier, right? For any supplier or customer you are creating, an ABN is required, right? An ABN number is required. If you do not have an ABN number for any of these cards, that supplier or the customer will be considered as a not registered supplier or customer according to the law, the Australian context, right? So for those type of not registered suppliers or customers, they will be charged a very high tax rate. You can't change that to VAT. Okay, they will be charged a very high tax rate according to the law. Therefore, even if you are not given an ABN number in the examination, when you are given information to create supplier, if an ABN number is not given, right, still enter a fake ABN number to proceed with, because without an ABN number, this will not be considered as a registered or formal supplier. You can still create and do it, but you will be taxed at a very unbelievable rate. Okay, therefore remember that as a point. Usually it will be given, right? Usually the ABN of the supplier customer will be given in the paper, but even if that is not available, you should know. You have to have an ABN, right? Without registration number, you can't have a supplier or a customer. Okay, understood? Then, what are the tax codes here? What are the tax codes here? Value added tax for original tax code is value added tax, and also for freight tax code is also VAT. Right? These two are also selected because of the default values we have set. In the previous process, we have set the tax codes both as VAT and VAT. Right? Because of that, here you are seeing value added tax for all the suppliers. Right. So that is about the buying details tab, right? Then in that buying details tab at the bottom, you can see the supplier terms information, right? What are the credit terms offered to us by the Sanat Private Limited, right? Look at those credit terms. Payment is due on a day of the month after end of month, right? When we are buying something on a particular month, they allow us to pass this particular month and after end of the month, and another specified date will be given on the next month. That is the idea. And then discount date is first day after buying it. On the first day, if we make the settle the payment only, we are getting a discount, right? That means immediately after the purchase, if we settle it, so we are getting a discount. That's the meaning of the first day, right? And then balance is due on the end of month, right? EOM is end of month, right? The meaning is you allow this particular month when you make a purchase on a particular month, you first allow that month to go and finish, and then in the next month again you allow the supplier. The supplier allows us to pay at the end of that particular month, right? So depending on the day you purchase, your getting at least 1 month, or it may be maximum up to 2 months, like the credit card you are paying, right? And then if you are settling on the first day, you are getting a early settlement discount. So what is the early settlement discount percentage? 5%. 5% of your value, right? And then volume discount is 0, right? No matter how many units you purchase, you are not getting a special discount, right? So those are the supplier credit terms information. So those are the information you have to enter about a supplier when you are creating. And if you just go through the other tabs available under payment details, if you are given very fixed information about their bank account number, payment type, all that, you can enter them here, right? But we are not given that information. And also the contact log that will show you all the payments and purchases we have done with this supplier. Okay, but currently we don't have any. But once you do the transactions, you will have a list of the transactions, and under the history tab, you can see how much of transactions we have done with this supplier as a basic comparison compared to the previous year, right? Let's say previous year you had purchased 100,000, this year 200,000. So the comparison you can give some very basic analytics. It's not analytics actually, but a small analysis can be done, right? Okay, so those are the information you have to enter when creating a supplier. After entering all this information, click OK, right? Click OK. You know how to create it now? 20 marks, huh? Almost 20 marks. Yeah. Now, after creating this supplier, you can see there are two other buttons activated: edit button and delete button. Please don't delete the only supplier you have created. Okay. In the edit button, right, when you select the supplier and click on the edit button, you can again edit all the information of that supplier from the beginning, right? Any information you can edit, right? Okay. Right. Now there are some other suppliers in the supplier card list, but I'm not going to create all the suppliers here. I'll show you an easy path to create all the suppliers, because in the examination, I don't advise you to go through this easy setup assistance from the beginning. If there your objective is to score more marks, for given every given transaction, you have to score marks, right? When you are asked to create suppliers, customers or whatever, you don't have to go through this entire process to create customers or suppliers. I'll show you the easiest path. You have to pick the easiest path and open this form, create the supplier quickly, right? In the examination, time is marks. You are in the war between this time and the marks. Therefore you have to use all the shortcuts as much as possible, right? Okay, now you know how to create a supplier card. That is the objective here, right? Then you can go to the next step. If you have any historical purchases in this company, you have to enter those historical purchases here. But in this company, we have not had any previous purchases. This is the first time we are entering the supplier, and we are going to start the purchasing process now, right? So we don't have any information to enter here. So we will click on the next button. Congratulations. Congratulations, you have successfully set up the purchasing process. Right? Purchasing process. Congratulations. Right. Then you can close this easy setup assistant. Right. Till you are in the second year, no? Till you are in the second year. You have another 2 years to receive that congratulation with the teddy and this hat and all this stuff. And the flower bouquet. Yeah, it's a good business. I have seen a normal teddy is, let's say, 500. A teddy with that hat is 1,200. That little hat is worth more than the teddy. Yeah, it has become a serious business now. I have seen. Because when demand is there, things are becoming expensive. Right? We have done that. Purchases, easy setup assistance process. You can proceed that. Yeah, any query from the online participants? All right. Okay. So next thing is we are going to see the purchase register and purchase how to record a purchase, and also we are going to create the other supplier cards. So before that we can take a small break, but we have to first mark the attendance. Okay. Let's mark the attendance and then we'll take a small break before that. Okay. Okay, after recording your attendance, take the break. In like 15 minutes, please come. Okay. In 15 minutes, please start. I scan.
අපි ප්ලෑන් කරගමු අප්‍රේල් මාසේ වගේ මුල්ගල දියන්න ටාගට් එක. Thank you.
Okay, shall we start now? Right. Now, we completed the easy setup assistant process, and we have set the default values of the purchasing process, right? And we learned how to create a supplier card under that easy setup assistant. Okay. As I told you, in the examination, you don't have time to go through all these easy setup assistants to create one supplier card, right? Let's say now suddenly I want you to create a supplier card. The only method you know is go to setup, setup assistant, go to purchases and pass all those steps. And in the supplier card creation list, you have to create one supplier card, which is a lengthy process and it is not the easiest path, right? Now we are going to see how to create a supplier card in the most convenient and easiest method, right? So in your command centers, there is a special or separate command center for card files, right? There is a command center for card files that is allocated completely to create and deal with cards, right? Because as I told you in my UOB, all the parties we are dealing with are known by their cards, right? Therefore, there is a separate command center for that. And under that, you can see cards list, right? Print mailing labels, create personalization letters and all that for those parties, right? Then in the cards list, go to the card file command center, go to the cards list. Okay, that is the path. Card file command center, cards list option, right? Select that. And that will give you the card list. right? All the cards included, including supplier cards. So there are a few tabs. One is all cards. Under all cards, you will see all the cards you have created in your company, right? And when you go to different tabs, they will specifically show only the categorized cards. Like in customer cards category, you don't see any because you have not created any customer card. When you go to supplier cards, you can see the only one supplier card you have created. Okay. And in the employee, you don't have, personal, you don't have, right? Then what is the easy path? You go to the supplier cards category, and at the bottom you can see there is a button called new, right? Click on that new button and you will have the same format, same exact format you had in the setup assistant, right? Now I want you to create all the cards in our cards list except the last one. Don't create the last card, but all other cards I want you to create, right? Because I'm saving the last card. I'm having the last card to show you another way of creating a card. There is another alternative way of creating cards when it is necessary. Okay. Don't create the last card, but create all other cards. Fine. We have created Sanath Jayasuriya Private Limited. Now I have XY Company Private Limited. Okay, you created the profiles and then bind details. Now in some of these lists, like for example, shipping method, even if you type a few words, right? Even if you type a few letters, it will automatically fill. For example, if it is pickup, then I type PI, it automatically comes, right? So that way, when you train yourself on this, it will be much easier. Now, in the second supplier, an expense account is selected as office equipment, right? I don't want you to select that, right? Even though that is given, you selected. Yeah, you can go and edit it. Go and edit it. Don't select that account, even though it is mentioned. The reason is, in case if we buy something else from this supplier, because still we don't know what we are going to buy from this, right? It's given, but if we buy something else other than office equipment, then still that account will be there. We can change it. That is true. But if we forget to change it, that will be recorded in a wrong account. Therefore, it's safe to keep that open, right? The particular purchase, we will decide what expense account is suitable. Now this XY company's credit terms, supplier terms is in a given number of days, right? In a given number of days, and discount is 7 days, and balance is due in 30 days. Okay, and for discount for early settlement is 5. So there are different mechanisms, right? You can see here maybe in a given number of days, maybe on the day of the month, maybe number of days after the end of month, or maybe day of the month after end of month. Different options are there, right? Out of them, you have to select the most suitable or given selection. See, when you are creating the supplier card of Sachin Sports Private Limited, the layout is service. Okay. So it is possible when you are, because we have set a default value, items layout appears automatically. But if you want to change that, that is possible. Okay. So from here, you can change it as service layout. Maybe we are not buying any items related in our item list related item from the supplier. Right? You can change it at any time. Create only up to Malika Bets and Balls Private Limited. Okay. Leave the Prime Sports Imports for a different purpose. Okay. And for those who have completed up to Malinga Bats and Balls Private Limited, let's created up to that. Till there are few, no? Give 5 minutes. All right, everyone did. Hands up those who are still doing it. Okay, right. Now we know how to create supplier cards. This is the easiest path. You go to the cards command center and select the cards list, and then you add whatever the card you want. Maybe a supplier card, maybe a customer card, whatever it is. Right? That is the easiest path at the examination. Please use that option. Don't go through that easy setup and it's an entire process to create a supply card. Right. Now I will show you. Now I told you to keep the last supplier card for something, right? And now you can close it. Okay. Then after creating supplier card, our objective is to start the purchasing process. Right. Now we have supplier. After having suppliers, we can start the purchasing process. Okay. To start the purchasing process, we usually go to the purchases command center, right? This is just a demonstration. You don't have to worry about this purchasing process. We will start from a very basic level and we'll discuss everything. Here I am showing you there is another additional way of reporting or recording some additional supplies. Okay. In the purchases command center, when you are going to record a purchase, right? The option is enter purchase, right? Purchases command center, enter purchase is the option for you to record purchases. When you go to that enter purchase, you are getting this particular format, right? In this format, you are having first you are having a switch to select what is the document you are going to create. Because purchasing process is having number of documents. Here on the top left hand corner, there is an option or drop down to select what is the document you are going to raise, right? You have quotes. Quotes means the quotation, right? In purchasing process, you are starting usually with the quotation. You call quotations from the suppliers, right? So if you want to enter a quotation, you use that quote, right? Just select it and see. Just select the color change, no? The color change. What is the color? When I ask from different classes, different students give different answers for this color. Some say it's peach color, some say it's pink color, some say it's orange color. What is the color? Pink. Peach? Peach. Anyone say green? Anyone says green? Are you serious? Green? Then you have to check your eyesight, okay? It's not green actually. Let's say it's orange. Yeah, something, yeah. Orange or pink, whatever it is, orange. And when you convert it to order, right? Order, you can see it's yellow, right? It's yellow color. And when you select it as bill, it turns into blue color, right? This color code is given, right? Listen now. When this color code is given, because when you are continuously recording hundreds of these invoices, the accounts clerk or someone who is entering this information should know, okay, I'm entering something different. When he was entering a few orders and suddenly the bill appears, bill format appears, then that difference should be identified clearly. Otherwise, the same format, you may be entering something else, right? That is why to avoid that problem, the color code is also given. And here there is a special thing we have to learn. I'm going to show you the difference between the layouts. That's what we are going to learn, right? Difference between layouts. When you select whatever it is, maybe a quotation, maybe an order, maybe a bill, right? At the bottom, there is a button called layout. We have to select the layout that we are using to make the purchase, right? When you click on layout, you can see here the 4 types of layouts are appearing as options. Okay. Now what we have selected is a service layout, right? What we have selected is service layout. Then you can see what are the columns available in the service layout. These are the information we are going to feed in a purchase. In the service layout, we have very few columns, a description column, an account name column, and the amount. That's it. The rest of the things are just reporting purpose, like the tax code. Tax code is important, but the job number, if there is a job number, you can enter, and the tax code, right? So by looking at this, you should understand you don't have a column to enter quantities, right? You don't have a column to enter any item codes, right? It is just a bare description. You are just entering a description of what you are purchasing and a whole amount, right? That is why this layout is not suitable to record inventory or items in your items list because it does not update your quantities, right? Then if you go and change the layout into items, right? When you change the layout as items, click OK and see, you can see number of columns appearing, right? Number of columns appearing. They are starting with bill, that is quantity. How many items you have to bill, right? Quantity columns start appearing, bill, and how many received, and back orders means if you are reordering any quantity, right? So 3 columns are there to record the quantities. Okay. And then you have another column called item number. Because we understood that items layout is used to record items, any purchases of items in your items list. Then in your items list, you should have an item code or a number, right? Then you can enter that item code here. So automatically that item related details will be tracked here, right? That will be filled in this form. Then you have the price to enter, right? Because for an item, you have a price. Even if it's a service item, for haircut, in our example, for male haircut, you have a price, 1,000 rupees. That can be recorded in the item and automatically that will be filled here. Okay, understood? Then the discounts if applicable and totals and the job number, all this can be entered in the items layout. That is why items layout is suitable to record purchase of items in our items list. This will update your inventory quantities. Understood? And then change the layout to professional. Change the layout to professional. Here, what is the difference here? Before the description, it has a few basic columns, but apart from the description, you have a column called date. Because professional services are taken on different dates. For example, let's say you are raising this invoice for a legal service you obtain, right? Maybe on different dates you are obtaining the legal service from the lawyer, right? On one particular date, this is the reason. On another particular day, this is the reason. For different dates you are billing, but the bill is created for a particular on a date, but it is billed for a number of services you have obtained in different dates, right? Therefore, professional layout is having date column as an additional column, right? The rest is the same description and account name and the amount you have to enter, for which purpose it's taken and the amount, right? That is the professional layout. And if you go to the miscellaneous layout, it again looks the same as the service layout. There's not much difference between the service layout and the miscellaneous layout, because miscellaneous layout is having the minimum required columns, because this layout is used to create some adjustments in purchases and to record something for which bill is not required, or printed invoice, printed document is not required. It's almost similar to the service layout. Understood? Okay. So those are the different types of layouts. Now we are going to see, now for example, assume I want to create a bill. Okay. I want to create a bill. This is not a real situation. I'm just assuming. I want to create a bill and I'm going to show you another path to create supplier cards. When I want to create a bill, the first thing I'm going to select is I'll select the layout. Let's say service layout, right? I select the service layout. And then in this supplier column here, the field, I have to enter the supplier from whom I'm going to purchase. Okay, from whom I'm going to purchase. Then I can type the supplier, name of the supplier, if I clearly know the supplier. Or else I can click on this drop down arrow. Okay, you all can do this in the bill column, right? In the bill format. You can click on this drop down, then it will show you the list of the suppliers, right? Out of this list, you have to select one supplier. Okay. Now let's say your purchase is from a different supplier than this list, right? Your required supplier is not in this list. Then you have to create that supplier. So you have an option, close down all these nonsense like bill, format, everything. You can close down everything. Go back to your card command center, open that cards list, and create a new supplier. That option is always there, right? But at the bottom of this list, in the same format, you have a button called new here. In the same search format, you have a button called new. When you click on that, that will direct you back to the new supplier creation format, right? So this is another option. When you have the need, when you want to create a purchase, at that point, if you get the need to create a supplier, this is another alternative option. But I believe the best option is to record all the suppliers prior to do this. In case if you need to create a supplier, you don't have to close everything and go back to the original and create it. At the same point, you can create a new supplier. Now we'll create the last supplier in this. That's why I wanted you to keep that last supplier for a. Now we will create the prime sports import supplier in this format. Because there is no any difference, right? It's the same format you are directed to. You are not allowed to copy the email address, no? For prime email address is given, so you are given option to copy that. You can't copy. That's great because in the final exam you are getting a hard copy paper. You can't anyway copy anything. You have to type everything. It's great that you learn from the beginning. That is the option. No, then soft copy can be shared with anyone. Because we have to collect the paper. We give the paper, printed paper, and based on that, you create the soft copy, you submit the soft copy, and we are collecting the paper. Having the paper on my hand, I'm checking the soft copy tomorrow. That is how the process works. Yes, one paper. Nothing to write on the paper. You have to, based on the paper, you have to do this. Create the company. But you have to type everything. Yeah.
Same paper, no?
Yeah, same paper. Why? You're planning to copy? No, you can't. You can't. There'll be invigilators and examiners, everything.
Then we can see. Just screen.
Yeah, there are invigilators too. You have to have self-discipline. If not, examination regulations will work. For example, let's say you looked at someone else's monitor, then you will be given a warning in the first case. And if you are again looking at someone else's monitor, then your student number will be reported to the examination. You have copied in the exam. You have to focus on your monitor and work. Even in the class, train for that. Mind your own business. YOB. Right? After reading that, when you click OK, right, then you in your list you will be able to see that supplier as well. Price what imports. All right. I'm not going to select it because now our objective is not to create any purchase orders, right? Purchasing is another function that we are discussing completely from the beginning, right? So this is how you are recording the suppliers. Okay. Now you can cancel this option here. Then in the cards, right? Whenever you want to see any cards or any supply cards or customer cards or whatever the cards, you can use the same path, cards list, and view the card. In front of every card, there is a white zoom arrow. Right? I hope you are comfortable with that word. That is the technical word we have for every option. You have the white zoom arrow. Any changes you want to make, you can use that white zoom arrow and open that supplier. Then you can make the changes, right? And then I want you to close this down, right? And then how do we call these drop down menus at the bottom of the software? How do we call them? What is the name we give? There are 4 tools, option tools, right? Out of these option tools, you have a tool called reports. Okay, click on that drop down reports, right? And then there is an option. I mean, in the drop down list, drop down menu, there is a option called card files, right? Select that option. Okay, and in that card files, there are different types of reports you can generate about your cards. Right? For example, your manager asked you to bring a report of all the suppliers we have, bring a report of all the customers we have, right? Like that. Then you can take the card list as a summary, or else you can take the card list as a detail, right? Now we will, summary is anyway simple. We will go with the detail. We are going to generate the card list detail. Select it, double click on it. Then you will be directed to the report customization option, right? Then you have to select out of the cards here in the drop down menu. Is that all cards or any selected cards, right? On the right side of the menu, you can see whether they are suppliers or if there are customers, it will show as customers, right? So you can see who are the customer cards, who are the supplier cards, who are the employee, all that from that. And let's say you want to include all these suppliers in your report. Then you have to keep the tick in front of all the suppliers. Let's say we want to take a report without XY company limited. So I deselect that. In the tick, there's a tick in front of it. I can untick that. Let's untick another one. Let's say Prime Sports. Without Prime Sports and XY company limited, I want to generate the report. Right. Then now even in organizations, some fraudulent supplier cards are also created, right? When the boss asks you to bring a report, you have to deselect, untick the fraudulent suppliers, otherwise that will be caught, right? So why I'm teaching you this is, you all are going to be accountants, right? You should know these type of things can be done in the editing, right? When you ask your junior to bring the report, if the junior is involved in that fraud, right, he will untick these fraudulent supplier card, because for them they can make the payment, fraudulent payments, right? They will untick this and bring the report nicely. So you can't rely on the reports. You have to check in the system itself. Okay, that is a separate forensic something part, right? They are not discussing it here, but it can be done. And click OK. And then here card types you can select If it is customer cards or supplier card, if we select, we will select supplier cards only because we don't have customer cards. Then we will select supplier cards only. Okay. After selecting that again, that was set up to the resetted. So if I want you to deselect again. We should have done that first. First select that card type as supplier. Then again, under this, you have to deselect those two, prime and XY. Okay. Because when you changed it, the original selection was reset. And then no any customization you have to make here. In the report fields, right? In this next tab, you have report fields. Right? What are the information you have to have in your report about the supplier? Now here you can see the name, type, balance, card ID, address line 1, 2, 3, everything is there. Right? If you want to skip any of the types, any of the fields in that, you can deselect them. Or if you want to include anything additional, for example, payment method, so you can tick that. Then you can see on the right side, it is added. Under the selected categories, it will be added. Right? Payment type, everything is added. Then go to the finishing tab, and then you can select separate pages for each supplier, one page. Right? Under the finishing tab, I selected separate pages. That means for each supplier, I want a separate page, a new page. And include inactive cards also, whether you want to include the inactive cards or active cards, right? Then that things you can select. And also what are the headings you want in the report, company name, company address, report date, and everything. Those are essential information usually in any report, right? So keep them and then click on display. Click on the display button. Here you can see card list page wise separated, right? Your supplier card separated page wise. You can see. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Then
Excuse me.
on
Sir.
top of this report, there is a button
Hello, sir.
called view. Okay. On top of this, you have a button called view. Then it's screen.
Excuse me,
what we
sir.
are seeing is the screen report. Then there is a drop down. From that, you can select another option. Another option is there, that is print preview. Print preview is the nice view that you can take the print out, including all that details. This is the format usually you are providing it to someone, right? Because it contains all the information nicely. So you will be able to print it.
Sir.
Okay. Hello, any
Excuse me.
question from the online participants?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the issue?
Sir, can you do from the customized point like we couldn't do from the
You want me to do the customization option again?
yeah.
Oh. Now, even being in here, I can click on this customize option. The customization option is here. When you go to the customize, let me do it from the beginning. Now here, you are comfortable up to this point, no? We came to this cards report wizard.
Yes, sir.
From here, I am selecting the card list detail. And then from here, I am selecting, I want only the supplier cards, card type. Okay. And then on the top, I am selecting individually what customer details I want. If I want to include all, I can keep the tick in front of all the suppliers. But if I want to ignore any suppliers, I can deselect. Okay. And then I can click OK. Now I have a selected list of suppliers to be generated reports. And then when I go to the second tab, that is report fields. There I have all the available fields on the left hand, and on the right side I have the selected fields, right? If I want to select an additional field,